boys and girls, we have talked about the first 4 planets. We talked about Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. These are called the inner planets. They're rocky planets. And some people call them terrestrial planets. Either the inner planets or terrestrial planets. They are the first 4 planets, and they are the only rocky planets. Between Mars and Jupiter, there is something called the Asteroid Belt. The Asteroid Belt is made of objects that are some are small and some are very large, probably larger than Pluto even, when Pluto, yes, some of them are larger than Pluto. So these are different kind of objects that still orbit the sun like all the other planets. Think of it as a highway made of many lanes, and there are all kinds of cars going. Big cars, little cars, big objects, small objects, and sometimes those objects collide and they kind of break into pieces. But they orbit the sun just like all the other planets, and they are between Mars and Jupiter. That's their location. So the next 4 planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and what's the last one?
Neptune.
And Neptune. These are called the gas giants. But our next planet, Jupiter, is the biggest planet in the solar system. It's the 5th planet from the sun. The distance between Jupiter and the sun is 484 million miles. The distance between Jupiter and Earth, I have to look it up. 1 year on Jupiter is 12 years on Earth. So if you lived on Jupiter, you wouldn't be even 1 year old.
What?
If you're 6 years old today, if you're 6 years old now, you're only half a year old on Jupiter. It takes 12 years for planet Jupiter to orbit the sun one time. Another thing about Jupiter is that gravity on Jupiter is so strong. So if you weigh 10 pounds, or on Jupiter, you would be 25 pounds. The gravity on Jupiter is much stronger than it is on planet Earth. So planet Jupiter is made out of gases, but the core, do you know what the core means? Like the middle? The middle of the planet is a rock. And around that, there is kind of a water made out of hydrogen liquid. The pressure is so strong that it turned the hydrogen into liquid, and that is around that core. And surrounding that hydrogen liquid is lots of gases. And the fact that Jupiter spins around its own axis so fast, that's why we see kind of lines that go like this around Jupiter. Our model is old and you can't see that, but I'll make sure that I'll put it on the smart board for you guys. 1 day on Jupiter is only 10 hours.
10 hours?
It spins around its own axis really fast. Do you have a question, Lisa? Do you have a question? Can you please save it to the end? I might answer it. So please listen at this point, okay? Jupiter has 79 moons. Has lots of moons.
Not the moon.
And the thick, colorful clouds that you guys see.
What is Jupiter? They're made pretty much shaped.
Say that again?
They're pretty much shaped.
I don't understand.
They're pretty
Can
much
you
shaped.
wait for me to finish and then everybody can have a turn to raise their hand and say something? Thank you. Jupiter has also many storms. The biggest storm in the whole solar system is called the red spot. It's bigger than planet Earth. It's been going on for the last more than 300 years, this storm. If you look at our model, it's red because it's called the red storm, and it's actually bigger than planet Earth, this storm.
Give me the storm out I can't look at it.
Okay, now if you have any questions about Jupiter, please raise your hand. Yes?
How did the storm happen?
What's helping the storms happen is the fact that it's spinning so fast, and the fact that it's made out of almost the same material like the sun. It's hydrogen and sulfate, and the gases that it's made of, that's what's causing it. The gravity, all of these elements help those storms continue. It's not just one thing.
But why is Jupiter have so much storms and not just one?
I just said it's because the gases that are on it, the fact that it spins so fast, and what those gases are made of. All of these elements play a part. And the heat, how cold or how hot it is. Yes?
Does Jupiter spin faster than Earth?
Yes. How long does it take Earth for one day to spin around its own axis? Do you remember how many hours is one day? 24. One day on Jupiter is about 10 hours.
So that
It spins about more than twice as fast. Yes.
could you jump on Jupiter because there's very hard gravity?
Well, there's nowhere to park if you jump to stand. It's made out of gas.
What if
You can't really jump. You can't jump, you can't park your space shuttle. It's made out of gas. There's no way to get there. The only thing I would say is that your weight, how much you weigh, would be 2.5 times as it is on Earth.
if you go?
Yes, thank you for raising your hand.
Jupiter is not the closer at the sun.
No, it's the 5th planet from the sun. Aditya.
So how can Jupiter spin so fast?
It has to do with what it's made of. It has to do with the gravity between Jupiter and the sun and the other planets. It's not one thing. I think that should be my answer, is that it's not one thing. A lot of things cause it to spin around its own axis so fast, but the fact that it's so far from the sun, it takes it 12 years to orbit the sun one time. Any other questions?